Welcome to Evermore Love. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Evermore Love, your cozy corner for stories that wrap around your heart like a favorite blanket on a chilly evening. If this is your first time joining us, oh, what a treat you're in for. Please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. We're inching toward that magical 1K subscriber milestone, and every single one of you makes these tales possible. Your love fuels the fire. And if you wouldn't mind, stick around and watch this full video. Your complete views help spread the magic to even more dreamers out there. Today we're stepping into We Learned to Hold Hands Again, a poignant journey of rediscovering touch after loss, where fragile hearts mend in the quiet spaces between breaths. Get comfy, maybe light a candle, and let's lose ourselves in the story. We learned to hold hands again. The rain was relentless that October afternoon in 2022. Drumming against the cafe window like impatient fingers on a forgotten melody. I sat in the corner booth of the Whispering Bean, my usual haunt in downtown Portland, nursing a chamomile tea that had gone cold hours ago. At 38, I was Sarah Klein, a freelance illustrator whose days blurred into sketches of imagined worlds, vibrant forests where lovers danced under eternal twilight, couples entwined in poses that screamed passion I hadn't felt in years. My sketchbook lay open before me, but the page was blank, a mocking expanse of white that mirrored the hollow in my chest. It had been 3 years since Mark's accident, a slick road, a momentary swerve, and then silence. Our hands, once so effortlessly laced during Sunday hikes or midnight movie marathons, now felt like ghosts in my dreams. I'd come to the cafe on a whim, fleeing the echoey emptiness of my apartment where his flannel shirt still hung in the closet, releasing faint whiffs of cedar and him with every brush of my fingers. The bell above the door tinkled, and in walked Liam, shaking droplets from his wool coat like a dog after a swim. He was 40, broad-shouldered with salt and pepper hair that curled at the temples, and eyes the color of aged whiskey, warm but shadowed, as if they'd seen too many dawns alone. He ordered a black coffee, no frills, and scanned the room before his gaze settled on the empty chair across from me. "Mind if I?" he asked, voice low and gravelly, carrying the lilt of someone who'd grown up on the rugged coasts of Ireland before transplanting to the Pacific Northwest a decade ago. I nodded, surprised by the steadiness in my own voice. "Not at all." Rain's got everyone running for cover. We fell into easy chatter, about the storm's fury, the way Portland's streets turned into rivers, how the cafe scones were the only thing worth the soggy trek. He was a carpenter, hands scarred from years of coaxing wood into furniture that told stories. A cradle for a friend's newborn, a dining table scarred with laughter lines. "Wood remembers," he said, flexing those capable fingers. "Every knot, every grain. It's all there waiting to be shaped." I shared about my illustrations, how lines on paper could capture a feeling words couldn't touch. Our laughter mingled with the patter of rain, a fragile bridge over the chasms we'd both carved from loss. Liam's wife, Nora, had slipped away 2 years prior to a quiet battle with cancer, stolen in whispers while he hammered away at his workbench, oblivious until the call came. "She loved the rain," he confessed over his second coffee, staring into the steam as if it held her reflection. "Said it washed the world clean." My throat tightened. I knew that ache, the way grief lodged like a stone, making every touch feel profane. We didn't pry deeper that day, but as the downpour eased to a drizzle, he walked me to my car, our shoulders brushing once, sending a spark I hadn't expected. "Same time next storm," he teased, and I smiled, the first real one in months. Weeks blurred into a tentative rhythm. Tuesdays became our unspoken ritual. The cafe, steaming mugs, stories unfurling like petals in tentative sun. He'd bring sketches of his latest pieces, a rocking chair with curves that evoked a mother's lullaby, and I'd trace them with my fingertip, marveling at the life in the lines. I'd show him my digital drafts, ethereal lovers frozen in mid-embrace, and he'd lean in, breath warm on my neck, murmuring, "There's longing there, Sarah. The kind that pulls you under." Our conversations deepened, weaving through the safe shallows into turbulent waters. One evening, as fog rolled in from the Willamette, I told him about Mark, how we'd met at an art fair. His hand engulfing mine in a crowd, promising forever in that simple clasp. We held hands everywhere, I whispered, voice cracking. Grocery lines, hospital waits during his chemo scare years back. It was our anchor. Liam's eyes glistened. He spoke of Nora's frail fingers in his during her final days, how he'd traced her knuckles like a map home, even as the light faded. But romance. It crept in slyly, a thief in the night. It started with glances that lingered, a shared shiver when our knees knocked under the table, the way his laugh rumbled low when I mimicked a client's absurd demands. By December, the city twinkled with holiday lights, and we wandered the Pearl District markets, scarves tangled against the chill. He bought me a wooden ornament, carved with interlocking hands, its edges smoothed by his own touch. For the anchors we lost, he said softly, slipping it into my palm. Our fingers brushed, and neither pulled away. That night, under a canopy of strung bulbs, he leaned in, hesitating at the precipice. Sarai, I've forgotten what this feels like. His hand hovered near mine, trembling. I closed the gap, our palms meeting, calluses to silk, warmth seeping through the cold. It was electric, that first intentional hold, tentative, reverent, like relearning to breathe after drowning. Yet love's path is never paved smooth. Doubts rose like winter frost, coating our fragile bloom. New Year's Eve found us at my apartment, a bottle of wine half empty on the coffee table, fairy lights casting golden halos. We'd kissed by then, soft explorations in the cafe's alcove after closing, his lips tasting of coffee and salt, mine of unspoken fears. But as midnight chimed, confetti swirling from a popper we'd laughed over, panic clawed at me. Liam, what if we're just echoes? I gasped, pulling back, my hand slipping from his, grasping at shadows because the real ones are gone. He froze, hurt flickering in those whiskey eyes, but he didn't flee. Instead, he knelt, gathering my hands in his, thumbs stroking the backs like he was sanding rough edges from oak. We're not echoes, love. We're the wood that survived the fire. Scarred, yes, but stronger. Nora taught me to build. Mark showed you to dream. Together, we create something new. Challenges mounted like storm clouds. My illustrations dried up, brushes idle as grief's twin. Fear of betrayal, whispered that opening my heart invited more shattering. Liam's workshop echoed with Nora's memory. He'd pause mid-cut, chisel slipping, overcome by the scent of varnish that once mingled with her perfume. Friends meddled gently, my sister urging caution. He's a rebound, Sarah, don't rush the mend. His mates clapped his back at the pub. Time to move on, mate. But their words stung like salt in wounds. One brutal February night, after a gallery show where admirers cooed over my passionate new series, inspired by him, I lashed out. Snow blanketed the streets as we argued in his truck, engine humming like a held breath. You think this erases them? That holding my hand fixes the fracture? I cried, tears freezing on my lashes. He gripped the wheel, knuckles white. No, Sarah. It honors them. By living, by us living. Silence stretched, taut as a bowstring, until he reached across, palm upturned in surrender. I took it, our fingers lacing slowly, deliberately, the warmth thawing the ice between us. We drove home in quiet, hands linked over the gearshift, the city's lights blurring into streaks of possibility. Spring arrived like a hesitant suitor, cherry blossoms unfurling pink against gray skies. We learned to hold hands again in layers. First, the casual drape during walks in Forest Park, leaves crunching underfoot, his thumb circling my wrist like a promise. Then deeper, interlaced across dinner tables, sharing bites of salmon and stories of childhood mischief, squeezed tight during a thunderstorm that rattled my windows. His body curled around mine on the couch, heartbeat syncing with the thunder. Heartfelt moments bloomed in the ordinary. Him surprising me with a custom sketchbook, its cover etched with our hands intertwined. Me leaving notes in his toolbox, quoting E. Cummings on loving with all the sneaky syllables of flesh. Intimacy unfolded gently, bodies rediscovering trust in the hush of dawn-lit sheets, whispers of I'm here chasing away the ghosts. By summer's lazy heat, we'd woven a tapestry unbreakable. We hiked Multnomah Falls, hands clasped against the mist, water roaring approval. At the crest, he dropped to one knee, not with a ring but with a vow. We'll learn everything again, Sarah. Dances, dreams, the weight of forever. Starting with this. He lifted our joined hands, kissing my knuckles.